At 3 a.m., Elon Musk finally admitted the 20 things he had been searching for in a woman his entire life. Long after midnight, Elon Musk told a friend the secret list behind every woman he had ever loved and lost. Elon Musk built rockets, companies, and empires, but at 3 a.m., he confessed the one thing he could never build: the perfect woman to understand him. It was past 2 in the morning at the SpaceX office in Hawthorne, California. Most of the engineers had gone home hours ago. The vending machines hummed in the empty hallway. The coffee in the break room had turned cold. Somewhere outside, a janitor was mopping the floor in slow, tired circles. Elon was sitting at a long table covered in printouts. His shoulders were heavy. His eyes were red. He had not eaten since lunch. The launch deadline was crushing him. But that night, the deadline was not what he wanted to talk about. His old friend was sitting across from him. They had known each other for years. They had survived bankruptcy scares, boardroom battles, and the kind of public humiliation that breaks lesser men. Tonight, the friend had simply asked one quiet question. "Elon, what are you actually looking for?" He did not answer right away. He stared at his hands for a long moment. Then he leaned back in the chair, and for the first time in months, he let himself sound like a man instead of a machine. "You really want the list?" he said softly. The friend nodded. Elon almost smiled. It was a tired smile, the kind that comes from a man who has built empires but still wonders, late at night, if the right person will ever sit across from him at his own kitchen table. "There are about 20 things," he said. "Maybe more. I never wrote them down, but I think about them. More than people would believe." He took a slow breath. "The first one," he said, "is that she has to believe in God. Not in a loud way, not in a way that needs to be proven to anyone, but somewhere deep inside, she has to believe that there is something bigger than us, bigger than rockets, bigger than fame, bigger than even the future I keep trying to build. Because if she does not believe in something greater, she will never understand why I cannot stop." The friend did not interrupt. "The second one," Elon continued, "is that she has to love her country, whatever country that is. She has to belong to something, a place, a people, a history, a flag she would still salute even if no one was watching. Because a woman who cannot love a country will struggle to love a man who is trying to carry one on his back." His voice was getting quieter, but stronger. "The third one is real love. Not the kind people post about. Not the kind that disappears when the photographs stop. I mean the kind of love that stays in the room when the doors close, when the cameras leave, when the bank account drops, when the rocket explodes, when the headlines turn cruel. That kind of love, the kind that does not need an audience." He paused. "The fourth thing is affection. Not just love, but warmth. A hand on the shoulder when no one asked for it. A small touch when the world feels too loud. I grew up in a house where affection was rare. I learned to live without it. But I never stopped missing it." The friend looked at him, surprised by how openly he was speaking. For a moment, Elon was not in California anymore. He was back in South Africa. A small, quiet boy with a thick book on his knees, sitting alone in a corner of a noisy room, learning very early that silence could hurt more than shouting. He remembered the long afternoons when no one came looking for him,
He remembered the way his mother, May, would slip into the room with a sandwich and a soft word, even when she was tired, even when she had carried the whole house on her shoulders all day. He remembered the way one kind touch from her could undo an entire week of cruelty from the world outside.
He blinked, and he was back in the office. "My mother knew how to give affection without making a show of it," he said quietly. "That kind of warmth is rare. I would know it if I felt it again." "And the fifth," Elon said, "is passion. Real passion for something, anything. It does not have to be science. It does not have to be business. It can be music, painting, gardening, children, animals, cooking. I do not care. But she has to burn for something. Because a person without passion is a person who has stopped reaching for the sky. And I cannot live next to someone who has stopped reaching." He picked up his cold coffee, took a sip, made a face, and put it back down. "The sixth," he said, "is loyalty. The kind of loyalty that does not bend in a bad month. The kind that does not flinch when the world calls me a villain on Monday and a savior on Friday. The kind of loyalty that says, I know who he is when the lights go off, and I am not going anywhere." His voice cracked just slightly on that last word. "The seventh," he said, "is honesty. Even when it hurts me, especially when it hurts me. I have enough people in my life who tell me what I want to hear. I need at least one person who will tell me what I need to hear. Quietly, without cruelty, but without lying." The friend leaned forward. "Keep going." Elon glanced toward the dark windows. Somewhere out there, the city was sleeping. Somewhere out there, his children were sleeping in another house. He thought about that for a long moment, but he did not say it out loud. "The eighth," he said, "is intelligence. Not the kind people show off, not the kind that needs degrees on the wall. I mean curiosity. The kind of mind that wonders why the sky is the color it is. The kind that asks questions when everyone else is too tired to think. Because if she is not curious about the world, she will never be curious about the parts of me I do not show in public." He rubbed his eyes. "The ninth is kindness. Real kindness. Not performed, not for show. Kindness to the waiter. Kindness to the cleaning lady. Kindness to the assistant who is having a bad day. You learn everything you need to know about a person by watching how they treat someone who can do nothing for them." The friend nodded slowly. "The 10th," Elon said, "is resilience. Because the woman who chooses a life next to me is choosing a hurricane. She has to be strong. Not loud strong, quiet strong. The kind of strength that does not break in front of cameras, that does not panic when the stock drops, that does not run when the lawyers call at midnight. The kind of strength that holds the house steady when I cannot hold myself steady." He smiled sadly. "That is a lot to ask of anyone." The friend did not disagree. "The 11th," Elon said, "is patience. I am not easy. I know that. I forget things. I work too much. I disappear into my own head for days. I miss dinners. I miss birthdays sometimes. I do not say I am sorry as often as I should. A woman who cannot be patient with a man like me will be exhausted within a year." He paused for a long time. The 12th is grace. Grace under pressure. Because there will be pressure. There will be photographers at the door. There will be reporters at the airport. There will be strangers screaming at her on the internet for things she never said and never did. She has to walk through all of that without losing herself, without losing her softness, without becoming bitter. His voice softened again. The 13th is a sense of humor, a real one, dry, quiet, sharp. I cannot live with someone who takes the world too seriously. The world will already take everything seriously. I need a woman who can laugh at the absurdity of all of this, who can tease me when I am being unbearable, who can break the tension with a single line at the dinner table when I have forgotten how to smile. He looked down at the schematics. The 14th, he said, is compassion. The kind of compassion that does not pick favorites, that does not save itself only for the people who are useful. The kind that sees a child crying in a parking lot and stops the car. The kind that listens to a friend who is falling apart and does not check the time. He took a long breath. The 15th, he said, is love for children. Not just for her own children, if she has them or wants them, but for children in general, for the future. He stopped for a long moment. The lamp flickered. He looked down at his hands. Because I have lost a child, he said. I do not talk about it often, but I have. And there is a kind of grief that does not move. It does not get smaller. It just learns to live in a different room inside you. The woman who shares a life with me has to understand that. She has to be able to hold a small hand without flinching, without performing, without making the grief about herself. She has to know that some Tuesday afternoon, for no reason at all, my face will go somewhere very far away, and she will have to know not to ask, just to stay. The friend was very quiet now. The factory floor on the other side of the wall was still humming faintly. The world kept turning, the deadline kept ticking. But inside that quiet office, something honest was being said out loud for maybe the first time. The 16th, Elon said, is spiritual depth. Not religion alone, not rules, but the sense that the soul is real, that kindness matters, that cruelty leaves a mark, that the way we treat each other today will echo somewhere tomorrow. I cannot live with a woman who believes life is meaningless. I have stared too long into the dark. I need someone who still sees the light. He swallowed hard. The 17th is independence. I do not want a woman who waits for me. I want a woman who has her own life, her own friends, her own work, her own dreams, her own quiet evenings without me. Because if her entire world is built on me, then the day my world shakes, hers will collapse. And I cannot carry that. I cannot. The friend finally spoke. That one is hard, Elon. Most people want to be wanted that much. I know, Elon said. But I have seen what happens when a woman has no life of her own. It is a slow tragedy. I never want to be the only reason someone gets out of bed. The clock on the wall moved past 3. Outside, the night had gone completely silent. Even the freeway in the distance had stopped breathing. The 18th, Elon said, is vision. A dream of her own.
I do not need her to share my dream. I need her to have one, whatever it is. A book she wants to write, a garden she wants to grow, a child she wants to raise well, a village she wants to help, a song she wants to sing. Because a woman without a dream becomes a mirror, and I do not want a mirror. I want a person. The friend smiled just a little.
The 19th, Elon said, is quiet strength. The kind that does not need to announce itself. The kind that walks into a room without trying to dominate it. The kind that listens before speaking. The kind that can sit beside a man in silence and let the silence be enough. I have spent my whole life around noise. Boardrooms, factories, engines, crowds. I do not want to come home to more noise. I want to come home to someone whose presence calms the room. He stopped. He was tired. But there was one more. And the 20th, he said, almost in a whisper, is the one that matters most. She has to see me as a man. Not as a billionaire, not as a headline, not as a meme, not as a savior, not as a villain. Just a man. A flawed, exhausted, hopeful, sometimes broken man. Because if she only sees the empire, she will never know the person inside it. And the person inside it is the one who needs to be loved. The friend did not say anything for a long time. Then he said, very softly, "Elon, that is a lot to ask from one woman." Elon nodded slowly. He stared at the ceiling. "I know," he said. "It is too much. Maybe she does not exist. Maybe I have already missed her. Maybe she is somewhere in the world right now, walking through her own life, never knowing she is on my mind. Or maybe she is sitting at a kitchen table in some quiet town tonight, reading a book, drinking tea, hoping for a man who would actually see her." He paused. "I could build machines that touch the sky, but I could not always reach the people sitting across the table from me. Maybe that is the real failure of my life. Not the rockets that exploded, not the companies that almost died, but the rooms I walked out of too early, the dinners I missed, the hands I did not hold long enough." He looked at his old friend with eyes that were no longer the eyes of a CEO. "I do not want to be remembered for what I built," he said. "I want to be remembered for who I tried to be when no one was watching." The friend reached across the table and put a hand on his shoulder. Not for long, just enough. The schematics were still spread out on the desk. The rockets still needed to fly. The deadlines still needed to be hit. The world still needed Elon Musk to be Elon Musk. But for a moment, in a quiet office in Hawthorne, California, at 3 in the morning, a tired man had told the truth about what he was really searching for. Not power, not money, not even Mars. Just one woman who would understand the man behind everything. And maybe, somewhere out there, she was awake too. Maybe she was looking up at the same sky. Maybe she was wondering, in her own quiet way, if there was someone in the world who would see her the way she always wanted to be seen. Maybe she was kneeling by a child's bed. Maybe she was praying for someone she had not yet met. Maybe she had her own list of 20 things, written nowhere, said to no one, but carried inside her like a small, steady light. The future kept calling his name. The factories kept humming. The rockets kept waiting. But for one rare moment, Elon Musk had let himself want something more human than the stars. He could build machines that touched the sky, but he could not always reach the people sitting across the table from him. That, in the end, was the only equation he had never solved. And maybe the right woman, if she ever walked into his life, would not solve it for him. She would simply sit beside him while he tried. Subscribe for more hidden Elon Musk stories.